Hey crafters, this is Paulette. I have got my March 2014 Stampin' Up! Order and a couple of Tim Holtz items from my JoAnn's store while everything was 40% off. So I'm going to push these Tim Holtz things aside while we talk about Stampin' Up! What I ordered for March was this stamp set, Kind and Cozy, and the matching gingham wheel. This is the small wheel. Once you have the handle, which I did have, then you can buy as many wheels as you want, and they just pop in and out of here. You can even buy the little cartridges that have ink that fit in here. They come with the black ink, the basic black, or you can get empty ones and put your own re-inker in them and make whatever color you want. I think I'm going to invest in those. I'm going to a card party this weekend, and so I think I'm gonna order those for sure. So let's talk a little bit about the pricing. I really drug my feet on ordering these two things. They have been calling me for several months, and we're getting down to the wire. The catalog is going to expire on May 31st, and you just don't know what's going to make it to the new catalog and what's going to be cut. So I just went ahead and got them. Together, combined, they were a little bit expensive. The Kind and Cozy by itself is $16.95, and that is what a lot of the clear mount stamp sets run. The wheel by itself was $6.50. Combined with tax and shipping, $27.98. So, but I think it's something I will use, can be very versatile, I can use often. When I'm choosing things, I choose mostly based on timelessness and price. I do occasionally order specific things if there's a holiday down the road coming up and maybe I don't have too many things, or I see something that's so cute I can't pass up. So I got this in the clear mount. I have not applied my stickers yet. For the most part, this stamp set was die cut very well. Some of the stamp sets in the past are off one side to the other, and then you have to adjust your sticker that way, which is what I will have to do with the heart. There's more extra rubber on this side than there is on this side, so I try to put the sticker exactly where the stamp is, so I will take that into account when I apply the stickers. You kind of get this large bonus circle piece, which isn't even advertised as part of this stamp set, so that's kind of cool. You can make large polka dots, and look, all of these little images, the little flower image, heart, and cup will all fit inside that large circle too, if you wanted to do something like that. So super cute, thinking of you and made with love. I was hostess, so I chose Wildflower Meadow, which is a background stamp, and this embossing folder, which coordinates with this stamp set. This stamp set runs $13.95, and this embossing folder runs $7.95. So I don't know, I had trouble applying my sticker, and I trimmed all of that extra off. I probably should have put my sticker on first and then trimmed all this extra off, because I ended up cutting one row of dots and the bottom of the stems off, but I had to. This would not have moved up hardly any farther up. There's about a 1/16 of an inch past these dots, and that's really what is past them as far as this rubber goes. So I have no idea what the deal was with those dots, or I just absolutely do not have this on here accurately. I do not have the Stampin' Up! Blocks, so I will be using a Martha Stewart large block to mount these on, and I probably won't even be able to go according. I was thinking, well, I could line these dots up with these grid lines, but it doesn't look too level when you look through here on the edge, so I think I'm way off with my sticker. So I will just have to experiment and stamp with that and see how it goes. I may have botched it up majorly. And if so, I will just trim the edges off until, you know, make sure the image is level and trim the extra off the edges. They did do this. I was thinking, oh, did they do this right? They did. It's upside down. You know, normally we look at our folders this way, and they have it upside down so that if you do it on the card front, you can slip your card in here and get that to emboss right over those flowers. So I think that'll be a really fun set. I want to talk a little bit about the Stampin' wheels and give you a couple or 3 tips on using them. I'm just doing this in Pacific Point. All of these stamp wheels have a gap, and usually the way the design is of the stamp, it's not that noticeable. Like, I've got the one with the little pumpkins, and so it's 2 pumpkins sitting next to each other, so a gap, a space between them isn't bad. The other one I've got is the little cars with the Christmas trees in the back, and so again, they're all, you know, they're like driving down the road, so it's not a big deal for a little space to be between them. But this is a geometric shape, and it just cuts off. So what I ended up doing was I colored with a permanent marker a dot on each side. Because this is it's not centered on this rubber. So depending on how you poke it into the handle, you're going to have a very little margin or a big margin. So I'm just going with the way it's in there with the little margin. And I have a large ruler, just a large wood ruler that I use when I'm doing this. So I can lay this down, and with about a 1/16 of an inch showing here, I'm going to ink this up, and then I'm going to find my dot on the side where the gap is and put it about at the bottom of the wheel, and then get down and put that just off the edge of my paper. 2 fingers on the wheel for pressure, and ride right down the edge of the ruler. And you can be pretty consistent if you press hard enough. I didn't press hard enough here, so I didn't get full coverage right there. But then I can use, you know, if I continue and do the whole sheet, which is usually what I do with these background stamps, I just fill the whole sheet and then I cut down whatever size piece I need. And then I can still use this, you know, this bit down here as well. So I hope those tips help you guys. Let's have a look at our Tim Holtz products. When I saw these diffusers on the shelf, I was like, okay, those are going home with me, definitely. The cool thing that these do is if you have a full coverage texture plate, you can get these flat spaces inside that you can stamp another image or a sentiment in. And gosh, I've got ink all over me. So I've opened and used the circle one. So there is the circle one. They're offset a little bit, but I think that's for using them in the portrait mode. You could use them in the landscape mode and put like a piece of washi tape or a piece of ribbon or string on one side for more balance. But I've already played with that one a little bit. Then there's this this small oval that looks kind of like a book plate. You can use it that way or flip it that way, or you can even use it this way and stamp a tall image here in the side. And then here is a large oval, if I can get that back in the center there. And you can see it's offset just a little bit too, but again, I think it's so you could use it that way or that way. Or you could do it this way and again, put a little ribbon or washi tape on the edge. So I think they'll be really fun. I liked that there were several in the package. I chose the Stampin' Up! Vintage wallpaper and did that. And just did it sideways and just tried to center the circle on my card front. And I think it turned out really well. I have some Spellbinder circle dies. I can make a little frame to fit here. And one cool thing that I noticed when I was making my videos was that this circle right here fits perfectly inside there. So I think that is really quite neat as well. So I got too many fingers in there. There we go. Double duty out of that. So I think that'll be fun. So let's move these over and let's cuss and discuss. Let's cuss and discuss, which means serious discussing, as my nanny used to always say. This is the pocket envelope die. Oh, and I forgot to tell how much the diffusers were. The diffusers were a normal $12.99, and with 40% off, they were $7.79. This die was $29.99. With 40% off, cost me $17.99. So I love it when everything in the die aisle is 40% off, because you can get more than one thing. So here is the footprint of the die. And this package was already open, and you can see there's something on here. I think it's probably adhesive, because it's almost a texture. But I am kind of glad that the package was open. You know, some people just can't help themselves and they have to take things out of the package and look at them. And I do that too. I don't do it with the dies, but I do it with other things. You know, ceramic things. You want to look at them and make sure they're not broke. And the foam on here is cut really funky. This piece is really, really funky. But it cut okay. I would say something has come against the edges of the blade. They're not perfectly smooth, but it didn't seem to affect it while cutting the paper. So I think I'm okay with it. I do have one complaint. So this flap on the bottom is so minuscule that I don't know that it's going to work for me for seed packet usage, which is why I bought this die. I collect a lot of seeds from my garden, and I wish they would have robbed a ½ inch up here, because that would have still been a nice thick flap and gave that extra ½ inch down here, so this would have been a ½ inch flap. Because if you fold it up like the package is showing, I just don't know that that's going to be conducive to seed packet, because once you put seeds in here, it's going to bulk this out a little bit. So I think probably for me, I will end up gluing that flap to the inside so that it has, because look, it will even have the support of this other piece, and that way I won't have that popping open. Because when I make my own seed packets, sometimes, well, this is my seed packet that I've been faking, and I'll show you that here a little bit better. It has a really large flap here. Because I designed this based on a bag die. This is a Sizzix scallop bag die. And so I just go ahead and cut this and score it and fold it before I lay it inside the die, and then I have to come back and round the corners of my flaps after it cuts to make this envelope. So there is no little flap down here. So anyway, it is a nice size. So here is a real seed packet that I have, which is a little bit bigger. And this is an odd, this packet doesn't have any flaps. This is one continuous piece of paper that is folded here at the bottom, and it's just glued around 3 sides. So there might be a way to make, that's a very easy way to make your own seed packets if you're going to make homemade seed packets, and then you don't have to mess with any flaps. That would be really nice. But I thought it was interesting that this seed packet and my homemade finagled seed packet were very close to the same size. Mine is just about a 1/16, if I get it on there, about a 1/16 of an inch bigger. So, and of course everybody has the envelope punch boards now, so you can make envelopes any size you want. Another cool thing about this die is it came with this little magnetic piece of foam to put in here, because if you were cutting lots of layers of paper, the pressure of the die cutting machine will push them down in here and make a crinkle in your paper that you really cannot get rid of. I've experienced that on large envelope dies that are by Sizzix that have these big openings. You know, the envelopes have really big openings in the center, so you can use the little movers and shapers. And so you can use the movers and shapers in here too. I think that would be really cute, especially for the seed packet. You know, cut a little shape, a little flower. I have a little tree that I can cut, and that way you could put some acetate in there, and then you could see the seeds through that little window. I'm also going to be using this with some of my paper tray ink products, because I have drugged my feet and not ordered the envelope die that goes with paper tray ink. I think partly because of the price, and partly because I think it's small. So I already have one of those out. So here is the other frame, and since those are essentially the same size, they're going to fit on here so nicely. And I like that this has a border around it, because I like to leave things hang off the edge a little bit. So I think that'll be very fun. It'll be some good double duty for me. So, as usual, if you have any questions at all, be sure and let me know.